Welcome to Scottish Athletics Television. We're with Colin Hutchison, the Chief Executive, and we're here today to chat about our new strategy for 2023 to 2027. Colin, it's entitled Building a Culture of Success. How did the refresh come about?
So, Building a Culture of Success was originally written back in 2018 and launched to the sport. It was designed to be an 8-year strategy. The intention was always to review it at some point during that period. Obviously, in the interim period, things have changed significantly for the organisation, for the sport, and for everybody in their individual lives. So this felt like the perfect opportunity to refresh the strategy, to refocus everybody on the next 4 years, and I think most importantly to look ahead to the future again. We're in an exciting place within the sport. There's a lot of exciting things ahead of us. So yeah, perfect opportunity to refresh and re-energise.
And tell us a little bit about the consultation with the sport about the strategy.
So in the past, we've always consulted when we've been developing a new strategy. Back in 2017-18, that was much more concentrated, smaller focus groups that we used at that time. And we felt this time around it was really important to engage the whole sport within that refresh and give everybody who's involved in athletics in Scotland the opportunity to contribute. What's really important about that for us is not only does it review where we've been in the last 4 years and see what the sport think, but most importantly, it tells us what the sport feel they need from their governing body and what we should be doing in the next 4 years to help the sport to evolve in Scotland. I think what's been really pleasing through that process is actually to see the consistency within the feedback we've received from the sport, and comparing that with the feedback that we've had from the staff and the board as well. And I think that's really important for us to ensure that those relationships are there with the sport at all times, and there shouldn't be any big surprises if we're getting those relationships right year on year.
Well, running parallel to that, and the really good news is there's increased investment in athletics in Scotland via Sports Scotland. So nice to see that coming in. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's actually a really long process we go through. So probably around about 15 months that we've spent on that process through reviewing the strategy internally ourselves, the consultation period, developing a draft strategy that's then submitted to Sports Scotland. Following the submission of the strategy, provisional targets, provisional budgets for 4 years, we have an investment meeting with Sports Scotland where we have the chance to bring the strategy to life, to go in and to present it to the National Agency for Sport, to ensure that they're bought into the vision for athletics in the next 4 years. Following that process, there's obviously Sports Scotland need to review across all different sports who are going through the investment review at that time to look at the allocation of funding within sport. And obviously that is particularly challenging at this time, although there was outlined a doubling in funding of the sport budget. Obviously things have changed significantly for government during that period as well. So it's a very intense process for the sport, but really important that it's not just Scottish Athletics' opinion. We're going in there to present to Sports Scotland on behalf of the whole of athletics in Scotland.
Well, I suppose if I was summarising it and maybe keeping it really simple, it's probably about a lot more than 8 medals in track and field at the Commonwealth Games, which happened last summer, and obviously that is important, but it's a much wider remit that you have. So what are the next steps in terms of Scottish Athletics as the national governing body for the sport? How do we divide up that investment to help drive momentum in Scotland?
Yeah, I think what's really important to say is you're absolutely right. It's not just about the medals. They're an extremely important part of it, and undoubtedly it helps the sport because of the profile and the great athletes that we have on the world stage. But it is recognition of the work that's gone on throughout athletics in Scotland, and particularly if you look at the resilience that the sport has had to show through the pandemic and coming out the other side, that's been extremely important for us. So I think looking ahead, the next steps for us are to use the significant increase in investment to put additional resource, first and foremost, into the staffing team, which then filters through to the sport, particularly in the areas of performance and in the participation side of development. So 2 key areas for the sport where I think the sport itself and Scottish Athletics feel that we need to evolve what we're providing within that area. So within performance particularly, that's going to allow us to grow our support across all the event groups, which is significantly important. And I think there is areas we feel need significant improvement there. So really keen to get up and running in that area and to bring in additional roles. And within development, the clubs already do a fantastic job of analysing their local communities, engaging new people in the sport. So it's continuing to learn from what the clubs do to evolve that work across the whole of the country. And as the vision and the strategy says, it's about giving everybody in Scotland the chance to take part in athletics and running.
So I think we'll say watch this space on some of that, Colin. So just finally, we know there are significant challenges, and it would be wrong to suggest that there aren't. Facilities are definitely an issue. Grangemouth, a very, very obvious one in terms of a significant hub for track and field. How do you believe those can be overcome?
I think first and foremost what's really pleasing is to see the national agency buying into our vision for the sport and for the sports strategy. That's really important, because that's going to make a significant difference in helping us to overcome some of those challenges. But I think we're all aware of how things have changed over the last couple of years, the financial challenges that all organisations face, all clubs face, and individually everybody faces as well. So it's really important, first and foremost, that us as a governing body are really aware of those challenges that face the wider sport. It's not just about us. But I think what's going to be critical in this next phase is the relationships between Scottish athletics and the sport. And I think we've got a really good starting point there. There's definitely areas where we feel that could be stronger, and that's a key part of the new strategy. But maintaining those strong relationships with the sport is going to be really important, because we need to be working together. We need to recognise that everybody has a role in evolving the sport and moving things forward. But equally, partners such as Sports Scotland and those who invest in the sport, some of our sponsors and partners, all those relationships are going to be critical to ensuring that we have a sound financial position to start from and to be maintained. And we're going to need to be creative and innovative around how do we maintain the facilities that we've got, how do we ensure those facilities remain open, and how do we ensure that we're bringing new investment into the sport as well, because that is going to be crucial to delivering on the vision that we've set out in the strategy.
Well, it really is aspire, as we say, Colin, and it really is all about #SAL together. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you.